Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Checkerboard Chat. I'm Josh Lane, joined as always by Ethan and Riley and Andrews. Good to have you back this week. Got a lot to talk about. Well, not that much, but some big things to talk about as far as Tennessee basketball is concerned. It's been a weird couple weeks for Tennessee basketball. We're talking both programs in general. You know, a couple weeks ago, the men go up and lose to Kentucky, and Rick Barnes is talking about changing the vibes of the team. And the women are ranked, as high as number 4 now.
Yeah.
And now they've lost 3 out of 4, and the men have won 5 straight SEC games. So everything's crazy right now with Tennessee basketball. But I guess just how we're doing on this Monday morning here as we record. And it's been a weird week of sports, I guess.
It's very cold.
It's cold.
Very cold outside, and I noticed when I walked into the Beacon office that it was very cold and it was very warm. and yeah, that was just kind of a shock, I guess. I've said numerous times, maybe not on this, that I just can't function before 9 o'clock in the morning. So that just kind of, I don't know, my body took a screenshot.
Well, it's a good thing we're only 4 minutes from 9, so
yeah.
we'll let somebody else
in
talk.
4 minutes, Ethan should be able to function.
Yeah, I'm gonna shut up for the first 5 minutes.
I will say, air conditioning / indoor heating has got to be one of the greatest inventions of all time.
Yeah.
It's just way too cold to function, though.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Otherwise, so I guess let's start by looking at the men's. This week went 2-0. Texas A&M traveled to South Carolina, picked up 2 wins. Kind of the same story in the sense that the offensive droughts, the scoring droughts were still there. But they pulled out 2 good wins there, kind of grinding through Texas A&M. The Aggies made it close there in the end and even in the first half. But the Vols pulled away. Then South Carolina, again, close in the first half. South Carolina even led. Really nice second half there at South Carolina. Pulled away, and they ended up winning by 24 points. So I guess just to start off, what are your biggest takeaways from the men's team this week?
I mean, takeaway number 1 has to be Josiah Jordan-James becoming a competent offensive basketball player. I mean, he's always – I was talking with some friends last night, and they were asking me, like, who do you think the best player on the team is, like the most complete player on the team? And I told them straight up, I was like, if Josiah Jordan-James can keep this offensive stuff going, it's absolutely him, because he always has been. Defensively, I mean, he can get rebounds. He knows the assignments well. He has that experience to be able to actually contribute the way that Barnes wants him to, but he's never had a jump shot. And it's a small sample size, but these past 2 games, he's legitimately looked like a really good player, like a 5-star player, like, a complete player like we thought we were getting, I guess, 3 years ago. And it's just nice to see because, he has that missed shot at Texas, and he kind of bounces back, and hopefully he can keep that going moving forward.
Yeah. I definitely agree with you. Josiah's kind of looking like the 5-star that everybody thought he would be. Coming in 3 years ago somehow, he, was heralded as a 5-star prospect. What's crazy is looking back on it, he was actually in front of LaMelo Ball in, class rankings, which is, unbelievable at this point. Obviously, LaMelo's in the league now, and Josiah's 30 years in college, but that's story for another day. But, yeah, like you said, the elevation of Jordan, basically this all-around player now, kind of, top, minus Vescovy, one of the top offensive players on the team, and that's something to look at. And I think another thing is, too, I think they're kind of figuring out the lineups now. Folky off the bench, kind of providing that spark every once in a while. He played well these last couple of games, especially Saturday, made some good buckets. Hustling, he's playing a lot better. He's doing the hustle plays, getting that rebound after Sakai missed that easy layup. So to me, I think everybody's just kind of fitting after, back in January, everybody's like they're not kind of gelling together. I think Barnes has finally found the lineups that would work together well, and it's proving out there on the court.
Yeah, just to go off that, it just seems like they're finally, clicking the way that we kind of thought that they would, and the way we kind of saw early on in the season. Like you said, it was nice to see, just some lineups that you could look at and say, okay, these lineups are really working. And, I guess from those lineups we saw Josiah Jordan-James thriving, Ziegler thriving, just a lot of guys getting some great offensive production.
Mm-hmm.
So let's take a little bit of a deeper look at Josiah, because I think that, as you guys have said, that's probably the most interesting part of this past week.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you said he missed the potential game winner at Texas, comes out and drains a 3 right off the start of the game. Same thing in South Carolina. I think for me the biggest thing is that he's just been more aggressive with taking shots, and always, in the past he'd always be willing to pass it up and let his teammates play, and that's fine sometimes, but he's a good shooter. As you mentioned, 5-star prospect. He can shoot. If he just starts taking shots,
right,
in a matter of time, they're going to start falling. I look at the last 3 games, eight 3-pointers in 3 games. It took him the first 7 games of the season to make 8 threes. So like, obviously he didn't start well, but he's come on hot since that Texas game.
Yeah.
I think that aggressiveness that he's finally showing, that Rick Barnes is saying all year, you got to do this. You got to, it's fine to be selfish and take a shot every now and then. I think that's probably the biggest change for him.
Yeah, the misnomer about his game has always been that he can't shoot, and I've always thought that was a lie. He can absolutely shoot. I believe he was shooting like 34% from 3 last season. It's like he's a perfectly, not an elite shooter, but he's a perfectly fine shooter, and that's showing in the past couple games. He's, I believe, 39.2, something like that, 39.2% from 3 in the past 5 games, and he started the season like 23%, like Josh said. He was missing everything, and I think that's just sort of a mental thing with him. I think, he wasn't quite where he wanted to be at that point. He didn't quite know what his role on this team was, but like Josh said, he looks like a completely different player. He's driving the lane. He's actually like doing stuff that he just has never done before. He's being selfish is what it is, and that's good. Like every once in a while, basketball is kind of a selfish game. like the NFL, you think about teams. The NBA, you think about players.
Yes.
That's just how the game is kind of ordinated, and so to see Josiah start to take this next step, it's really interesting to see, and hopefully it has some merit to it.
And I think we talk about bona fide leaders. He has proven to me to be the bona fide leader of this basketball team. On defense, offensively, I feel like at this point, it's kind of running through him. I mean, obviously, point blank Texas, the final shot was to give it to him. I mean, he was wide open, just missed whatever. But these last couple of games, like we've been talking about, he's shooting well and wanting to shoot now. That's something we haven't seen from him in 3 years. Coming in as a freshman, he kind of felt a little passive at some times, not taking his shots, wanting, Vescovy, Chandler, Keon Johnson, Jane Springer to take their shots. Now it's like, okay, I'm a junior. It's my time to shine. I think he's just finally grown into that role that we thought he would be 3 years ago. Just taking some time, as not expected, but some good time on his hands. Barnes and company have elevated him to what he is now, and it's finally just showing on the court.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think we're seeing from, him playing selfish basketball and him scoring the ball a lot. It's kind of boosting the team, maybe.
Yes.
It just gets everybody going, because you see in that game, both those games, several players in double digits. A lot of guys taking shots that maybe they wouldn't. Maybe seeing their leader, like you said, seeing the leader take shots that he hasn't in the past, and just thinking, okay, well, if he's taking these shots, then we can all start to get going on offense. And then another number that kind of jumped out from the A&M game, 5 for 5 from free throws. I like that he's driving to the lane and not backing down from contact like maybe he would in the past.
Yeah, and I think for one thing with him too, with him finally shooting, it opens up the floor for everybody else. Previously defenses could, he's not going to shoot, he doesn't want to, or he's not good at shooting. And now you can finally, he's respectable on offense, driving the lane, shooting the three. A couple of those shots on Saturday where he was driving the lane and he had a guy like right in front of him, those couple of floaters, he made them. I don't know how he made it, but he did. So that to me is the most impressive thing, is him being a little bit more respectable on offense, teams respecting him, and now that opens the floor for Vescovy, Chandler, Sakai. Everybody else is feeding off of what he's doing.
You mentioned Zakai there. I do want to talk a little bit more about him.
Yeah.
He never ceases to amaze you. Coming off the bench, just his story. It's so crazy that 3-star prospect should be in high school right now. Came in late, under-recruited. Yet here he is, super underrated, coming off the bench, always an energy spark. 18 second-half points in South Carolina. The big reason why they pulled ahead. Of course, nails 2 threes, goes over, throws up on the sideline, and comes out. And man, that's hilarious. But that's what he's been doing all year. He's just that energizer.
Yes.
He's small, and he'll fight for it.
Yeah, he just doesn't really seem to care what other people think about him. I think that's the thing that's coolest about it, is when you're 5'9", a lot of the things, that mental thing, they can play basketball the same way that people who are 7 foot can. They play in a different way, obviously, but he's absolutely just embraced that. You can tell. Like, he doesn't care even a little bit that he's 5'9". That guy, he doesn't care even a little bit. And he genuinely believes when he's out there, he's like, I'm going to be the best defender on the court. I'm going to be the best player on the court today. Yeah. And if Josiah didn't go nuclear, he would have been. Yeah. He would have been the best player on the court. And he the thing is that's even more impressive about that is in the first half, he looked bad. He really looked kind of, I don't know, like shaken almost, I guess is the word. He didn't look like himself. He was about 0 for 4, 0 for 5, something like that. I tweeted something about it, and the only reason I remember this is because I had to go back on it. I was like, wow, this guy's an idiot. Like, Zakai looks amazing right now. And I don't know what it was. I can't claim to know what it was. Maybe it was the adjustments that Barnes made, but he totally figured it out. And, I mean, all 18 of those points come in the second half, and Josh is right. Like, that's really the reason they pulled away, because everything was pretty much the same. Josiah played pretty well in both halves. You had, good play from Olivier Kamwa, who got injured in that game. I guess we'll figure out what the extent of that is later, but yeah, no complaints about Zakai.
I mean, Zakai was fighting sickness through that game, so maybe at halftime he just drank a bunch of Pedialyte or water or something. That was good enough for him. He even said
that was why he threw up. And he drank too much water.
Yeah.
Literally going too hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think to kind of speak on what you mentioned about bad first half shakes it off, great second half. I think that speaks a lot to his maturity, which is crazy because we were talking about he should still be in high school right now.
Yeah.
I think it shows how mature of a player he is, that he can have a bad first half, not let it get to him, and just come back in and do his thing on offense and on defense.
I think at halftime he just saw Ethan's tweets and woke up a little bit.
Yeah,
so
probably.
that's probably what actually happened.
You're welcome.
No, but seriously though, I think Zakai is going to be the next Admiral or Grant that we all just love. You know what I mean? As Tennessee media fan bases, he's the next guy who's going to be here for 3 to 4 years.
Mm-hmm. Just
the fans, everybody just throws their arms around him and wants to see this guy grow. He may not be, 2-time SEC Player of the Year as Grant was, or Admiral who can whatever, but he has the potential to be the next, just great, just all-around player that we can just enjoy to just watch on the basketball court personally. That's just my opinion about him. He has the potential to do it. He'll be here for 3 or 4 years. I think he will be. So he's going to grow so much under this unit, because Chandler, after this season, we don't know if he's going to stay or leave. More likely he'll go to the pros. So Zakai could be the number 1 point guard next year. And that's going to be just such a great sight to see. So I'm excited just for his future here at Tennessee.
Mm-hmm. As far as the context of the South Carolina game goes, that was their third road win of the year, their second SEC road win, and we kind of alluded to some of these scoring droughts at the top of this, but their offense, it's no story, has not traveled well all season. They struggle on the road. At Thompson Bowling Arena, they do perfectly fine. Defense has been fine all year. Its offense has been a problem, and now back-to-back games, 90 points, 81 points on the road. I think that's probably the most impressive thing, or just we're looking at the team in general. They went out and made a statement. Ethan, we were talking about on the way up there, they can't just go out here and win by 10 points or something.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a team they beat by 20 points a couple weeks ago. Yeah. They need to go out on the road and make a statement win by a lot, and that's what they did.
Yeah. And the thing is, too, that I feel like people won't realize is South Carolina, they're not a good team. I'm not saying that. They are a very good defensive team.
Yeah.
There's the numbers back it up. They're the number 34 defense in the nation out of 357 on Ken
Pretty
Palm.
good. Yeah.
And if you can choose to listen to computer numbers or not, but they're often pretty accurate, and they've been playing well recently. Offensively, they're kind of a train wreck.
Sure.
And that's why their score is so low. That's why they haven't been able to win games, because they just can't score. But their defense has always kept them in games. That has never been a problem for the Gamecocks. So for Tennessee to go out there and just bully them really on the road and in a good road environment, it was there was cool fans there. It was a nice environment out there, and for them to go out and win that speaks a lot to the step that this team is taking forward, I think. It's just South Carolina, but that was one of the better wins of the year, in my opinion. Sure, it's just South Carolina, but you go on the road and you win that means so much more than just beating South Carolina by 20 at home.
Oh yeah, that's a team booster right there. Going on the road Saturday, and winning by 24. That's a statement win, if you ask me. Like you said, yes, it is South Carolina. They're kind of the middle of the pack team. They're kind of, I think before Saturday they were tied for 6, like a log jam at 6 right now. But any SEC road win like that, that's not something to scoff at. It might be South Carolina, but like you said, they're a top 35 defense, and they hung 81 on them like that, won by 24, shut that down completely. What did they shoot from 3? 12? Well, did they make 12?
12 for 27. Or
12
for
20?
27.
14, I believe.
14? That's impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, the shooting is finally coming alive again, plus after Texas. And like you said, coming on the road and shooting like that, that's kind of one of the first times they've done that all season because, like, against Colorado, this maybe scored 56, 58 points.
Mm-hmm.
Vanderbilt scored 68 points.
Yep.
So to shoot like that against South Carolina on the road against, top 35 defense, like we said, that's impressive to me.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I think it just kind of marks, we were talking about before we were recording, a flip, kind of a flip in this team.
mhm.
That just shows the flip of a team that kind of only looks good at home,
Yeah.
looks iffy on the road, to come in and just have a performance that you would think that they're the home team,
Yeah,
just based on
exactly.
how they're playing.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I mean Mississippi State coming up next. That's another away game.
Another way game.
That's another one that is definitely on the docket that Tennessee should be
Yeah.
looking to win that one by a lot too, because Mississippi State, they're like South Carolina, just take a step or two
Sure.
up. I mean Mississippi State's a good team. They might make the tournament. They might be like a 10, maybe 11. They could squeak in, especially if they win against Tennessee. So they're going to be really looking to win this one. But I mean that's where you take the step forward. That's
Right.
where this consistency thing comes in. You can't just beat South Carolina, look promising, and then get whipped on in another away game.
Yeah, I mean that was going to be the next thing I asked. Is Tennessee's got I think 8 games remaining. Half of
Mhm.
those are on the road.
Yeah.
You mentioned Mississippi State, Missouri, Georgia, and that Arkansas. Not necessarily in that order. I think they're a little flip, but
And all those minus Arkansas are very winnable.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like those are, Tennessee should go at least 3-1 in those games. They should.
Should
But the thing is, though, can the offense travel again? Can you do it consistently? That to me is just a big question mark, and they haven't done it up until this point.
Mhm.
So can you do it again on Wednesday on the road, like you said, at Mississippi State, which is not an easy place to play in
No.
Starksville.
No,
It's far
definitely
from
not.
home. Can they do it again?
Mhm. Yeah, and one thing to speak on too, Ethan kind of mentioned this. These teams are hungry for a tournament bid, and
Yes.
a win against Tennessee, a win
Mhm.
against a top SEC team is going to look great for that. And
Yes.
the SEC is pretty good this year, so none of these teams can really be counted out, regardless of their record.
Right.
Maybe a few teams.
Yeah,
can be
there's
counted out.
going to be 7 teams, probably at the very least, in the
Yeah.
SEC that make it, and maybe Florida, maybe Mississippi State. Those are the
Right.
two that are kind of. I think one of Mississippi State and Florida will make it, and I've already beat this horse, but you got a team like Arkansas, who holy cow, I think they've won like 8, 7 in a row.
Yeah, they're hot.
And
yeah.
Arkansas is playing well. They were kind of struggling to start SEC play, but they've rounded into
Yes.
form. So they're. I mean, as long as they don't lose all the rest of their games, which I don't think they will, they're going to be they're going to be an NCAA tournament team. And Mississippi State, like I said, they're looking to be an NCAA tournament team. So they're going to bring their best.
Yeah.
I mean, Iverson, Molinar, they're nothing to joke about.
No.
So this would be a legitimate, very, very good win for Tennessee.
Agreed.
I'll say a very good win against South Carolina. This could be 2 varies.
2 varies.
We could
yeah.
be looking at 2 varies here.
That's very good.
But yeah, I mean, you just can't really overstate how
No.
important it is for them to just keep going forward, like
Yeah.
show progress
Yes.
instead of kind of showing progress and taking a step
Because you
back.
show progress and then you pull an egg like you did at Texas.
Yep.
So
Exactly.
that can't happen again.
They won
Spe-
3 in a row before losing. to
Exactly,
Texas.
exactly. So that to me that you got to show growth in that way. Keep the momentum going. Be who you're supposed to be, like they have been lately. Do it again on Wednesday, and then we'll be like, yep, consistency is finally coming together, and that would make us very happy.
not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but Tennessee tied for 3rd right now in the SEC with Arkansas, as we
Mhm.
mentioned. They're both at 7-3. Kentucky's a game ahead at 8-2. Auburn, of course, 10-0 undefeated. I mean, where do we think Tennessee's gonna end up in the final standings in the SEC? I mean, you play Arkansas twice, Kentucky and Auburn at home. Tennessee's been a totally different team at home. So I mean, they've got chance. I don't want to say it's a necessarily good chance, but like they've got a chance to move up in the standings. They can definitely control their own destiny, so to
Mhm.
speak. So, I mean, just right now, February 7th, if you just want to take a wild guess, where was Tennessee going to be in a month?
I'd say SEC tournament, they'd probably be a 4-3, because in my opinion, I see 3 losses remaining. I see Kentucky, who in my opinion is winning a national championship. You've got Auburn, who is probably making a Elite 8. Bruce Pearl, and they just seem to have Tennessee's number, so I'm never ever going to say that Tennessee's going to beat Auburn. I don't know, you never know. If they keep playing like they are,
Yeah.
you never know. And then one of the Arkansas, I feel like Arkansas is just playing really hot right now, so if you kind of add all that up, I'm saying around a 12-6 record, which is good enough for
Just
around
good.
4,
Yeah.
5, 3 maybe, depending on who you beat. If you can knock off Auburn, if you can knock off Kentucky,
Steal a win.
maybe we can start talking about 2. But Auburn kind of has number 1 locked up.
Yeah.
So winning the SEC outright in the regular season, that's not going to happen in my opinion. As far as the NCAA tournament goes, It could be anything because you've got all sorts of teams from these mid-major conferences that are making legitimate runs at bid stealing this season, and the SEC is up, the WCC is also up, I think AAC is also up. They've got a couple teams that might make it from usually a one big league, and you got Big Ten playing well. There's just a lot of good teams in college basketball, a lot of parity in college basketball this season.
Yeah.
So I'll make a tentative guess at like 5.
Yeah.
But who knows, to be honest with you. I couldn't tell you about the NCAA tournament.
Tennessee needs to be a top 4 seed for the SEC, though. They need that double bye.
Mhm.
That's big. So, like you said, 3-4 is very realistic because top 2 to me, that's a lock. It's Auburn, Kentucky, flip however you want if they can get down that way. But 3-4 needs to happen. If they fall out of the top 4, to me, I wouldn't say a failure, but that's kind of a disappointment, if you ask me, because they're the 3rd or the 4th best team in the SEC, in my opinion, personally. Alabama's kind of fallen off. LSU, they have fallen off a cliff.
Yeah.
So Tennessee has made the point to be a 3rd or 4th, with Arkansas. So they need to be a top 4. I think that's where they'll end up, like Ethan said, 12-6, 13-5, maybe if they still a win against another Arkansas win or Auburn, Kentucky. So those games are toss-ups with them being at home. With Auburn playing as lackluster as they have been lately against Missouri and against Georgia, stealing wins. And those are at their places. Imagine them coming to Thompson-Bowling Arena, already sold out place. So that, to me, that could be an interesting game, 26. So like I said, Tennessee top 3, top 4 should be where they need to be there. Like Ethan said, 5, that I think they're projected as a 6 lately with Lenardi. So I think the highest thing goes probably a 4 seed in NCAA tournament, but 5-6 is probably a little more realistic.
Yeah, and let me jump in and just provide some clarity to what I was saying. I didn't mean to say the AAC, I meant to say the NWC, and I know that we're talking about the Vols on this, but this kind of fits into what we're talking about. Last season, the NWC had 2 bids for March Madness. This season, there's a very real possibility they get 5.
Yeah.
This is a league that is usually a 1 big league, maybe a 2-bid league at most. When you got 5 teams like this coming in, like there's gonna be spots all over the place.
Yeah.
And it's good that Tennessee won when they did. It's good that Tennessee got enough wins and is starting to play their best basketball right now. Because a team like Mississippi State, a team like Florida, they're sweating right now.
Yeah.
Over like San Diego State.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not good.
It's not good,
That's not good in the larger scale of things for the SEC.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat as you guys, 3-4. I'm a little bit more confident. I think they win both these Arkansas games. I think they're playing well, like you said, at the right time. Arkansas is playing well too, but I think Tennessee's a more mature team and is going to win a game like that, both games like that.
Yeah.
Well, Tennessee plays Mississippi State in Starkville Wednesday at 9 p.m. and then they'll host Vanderbilt Saturday at 6.
God, late night.
Yeah.
God gracious.
Yeah, late night. I guess
Love those 9 o'clock tip-offs.
I guess there's a time change there, so it's a little better in
Screw
Mississippi.
Central
but-
time.
Yeah, right. Eastern time is superior, that's
It's
for sure.
superior. It's God's time, if you ask me.
Anyways, we'll have full coverage of both of those on UT. What's our website?
Daily
Is it Daily Beacon?
UTDailyBeacon.com.
Is that what I
Nice
hear?
job, Josh.
I'm trying to remember
Sports
the
editor?
Trying to remember
Come on
the
now.
UTDailyBeacon.com. Man, it's like
It's
I said, it's
Monday.
early. All right, let's transition to the women's team now. We've got our 2 women's beat writers here. What is going on with the women's team? I mean, a week ago, they had just lost to Auburn by 10 at Auburn, and we said, okay, well, off days happen in college basketball. Sometimes Auburn gets hot. You have one bad game. It's going to happen.
Sure.
Put it past them. They have Arkansas coming up, who's a good team, but this is a chance for them to make a statement. They squeak out a win in overtime. Yeah, I mean, win's a win, but they didn't look that good, I don't think. They go on the road, lose to Florida by a lot, go up to UConn, lose there by a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, they were ranked, number 4 last week? Now they're number 7, probably falling out of the top 10 if I had to guess.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what's going on with them? They've lost 3 of their last 4 now. Just the narrative is totally shifted with the Lady Vols.
Yeah. You look at Auburn, the Auburn loss, and you say, okay, this loss looks bad, but like you said, off days happen. Auburn is a team that, on the surface, looks bad. You take a closer look; they're actually a decent team.
Yes.
Then you lose to Florida, and that's when you start to really ask questions. And then go into UConn, get absolutely blown out. And Kelly Harper said in the press conference yesterday that the answer to their problems was Kean Green, and I think that's it. That's really the big loss of Kean Green in the Georgia game has just set them off the tracks a little bit. They're searching for answers. They're searching for a leader. Ray Burrell's still not at 100%. And they're honestly just a team that's kind of lost right now and looking to get back on the track. Their season's not over by any means. There's still a lot of basketball left to be played, but they've got to find that answer to who's going to be the leader, who's going to step up. I think that's kind of the clear answer for the problems right now.
Yeah, just kind of go back kind of down the path as you did. That Auburn game, like you said, games happen because like South Carolina lost to Missouri earlier in the season. Missouri had 8 players and they lost, so that happens. But then you go, like you said, lose to Florida by 24. Heading into Florida, they'd won 7 straight in Gainesville, 17 of the last 18 overall against Florida. And you're like, yeah, that one's kind of a question mark. Mm-hmm. And then going into Connecticut, we, as media, we were, thinking like, yes, we expected Tennessee to play better, not necessarily win, but the motivation should have been there. Huge rivalry game, obviously, and they get blown up by 19. The game is never close, in my opinion. First half they're down by 7. Third quarter, the game was just out of reach at that point. UConn explodes in third quarter. Tennessee could not buy a bucket. So, like you said, the answer is just simply just Kean Green. Mm-hmm. Multiple media, like Maria Cornelius, a lot of other people have said Kean Green was the bona fide leader of this basketball team, and it is evident. It's key. They're 1-3 since she has gone out with an injury. Mm-hmm. They could be 0-4. They had to squeak out a win against Arkansas in overtime, so they could very well have been 0-4 since she's been down the last 2 weeks. So. And like you said yesterday, Coach Harper said it's Kean Green. They got to find their confidence right now. They're down and out. They don't look. I mean, besides Jordan Horston, who on yesterday had 26 points, she just completely balled out. After her, nobody else really did anything. The next high score was Ray Burrell with 11. So to me, they just got to find some answers immediately. Confidence is definitely low. Luckily, they're back home for a little bit, can take some time off, regroup, recuperate. That was a long week they had last week, so they just need to come together, find themselves, and just get ready for Missouri on Thursday.
Yeah, and another point of emphasis is Tamari Key's kind of been off in her play recently. Going into the Georgia game, I thought Tamari Key looked like the best player on the team. Yeah. Or, one of Jordan Horston is probably the best right now. But, she's not getting as many touches recently. I don't know if she had a single block yesterday.
Maybe one.
Yeah, she definitely didn't have any blocks in Florida, which is crazy for a player that's getting 5 or 6 blocks a game, has had 10 blocks multiple times this season. She just looks off kilter a little bit. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's a confidence thing. I don't know if she's just not feeling it right now, but they've got to play through her if they want a shot at a deep run in the tournament.
And I think another thing is too, like you said, Tamari Key. I'm looking at Jordan Walker yesterday. She played 31 minutes and didn't score a single point.
Yeah.
So point guard play right now is kind of not the greatest right now. Brooklyn Miles has done well off the bench previous games, but her and Jordan to me have not done too much lately. I think defenders are they're frustrating Jordan a lot yesterday. Well, they have been lately. UConn did, especially yesterday. They've been turnovers weren't terrible, but they've been better for Tennessee. But it's just last couple of games cannot stop anybody offensively. Cannot just keep the rhythm. Minus Jordan Horston and Ray Burrell. She has the potential. It's just her. I think her injury is still kind of there. It's on the back of her head. It's kind of more of a mental thing for her. But after them too, like you said, Tamari Key's really not doing anything at this point, so they just need to find some answers, whether it's Jordan Walker or Ray Burrell getting more touches. So they can find it. It's just when is it going to happen?
Yeah, well, that's kind of leading into the next thing I was going to ask. I think you guys have already hinted on it. Is this just like a bad? I mean, even then you can have a bad week in college basketball, or is this a deeper issue within the team, within the makeup of their team? And I think after hearing what you guys have to say, I think it's kind of that. But if losing Kean Green is that bad, I think there's probably some deeper issues. A bench piece, and maybe she's kind of comparable to Zakai coming in and being that spark off the bench.
Yes.
But if losing her, I mean, a bench piece at the end of the day, if that's what it is, I think that just raises more questions for Lady Vols because she's not coming back.
She's not.
Her season is over.
Yeah.
She was a big presence. They're gonna have to figure something out, regardless. Yeah. And I don't know. I guess deeper seated issues, or what are you going?
I'll just say, I mean, Ray Burrell was also out.
They
played perfectly fine.
Right.
I'm not on the women's beat, but obviously I follow them well enough to know the dynamic of the team, and they played perfectly fine without Ray Burrell.
Yeah.
Maybe not perfectly fine, maybe not to their full potential, but
They lost
they
one
played better
game.
than they're playing
Yeah.
right now without a bench player.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
what do you chalk that down to?
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I see that as you lose Ray Burrell when you're playing teams that are, not Power 5, not great teams, and you have a chance to kind of figure out who your team is without Ray Burrell. Right now, you're in the height of SEC play. You just played, one of your biggest rivals. It's two totally different points in the season. And I think it's harder to make those adjustments when you've already gotten into your rhythm,
Right.
with the players you have, with the lineup you have. So that's what I see it as.
And like you said, Ray Burrell went down 9-1. So there wasn't, they already hadn't had set in stone lineups,
Sure.
and they hadn't been gone in the rhythm. So I think it was easier for them to get over Ray's injury, and they did. They lost one game to Stanford, and that was it. And now they go into the middle of the season. They lose Kean Green, who is a staple off the bench, the backup to Tamari Key, and that to me is another issue. After Tamari Key, I don't know who they go to anymore. So that is another glaring issue. But like you said, Kean Green being in the lineup for basically half the season, and now she's gone, that is huge. So now Coach Harper has to find a new lineup middle of the season, running people in and out. Nothing has been just consistent at this point for the past 2 weeks. So that, like you said, that Ray Burrell's injury was big, and they were fine without her, but now with Kean Green, that's just a completely totally different story in my opinion.
So to kind of quote what Rick Barnes said a couple weeks ago at Kentucky, what do the Lady Vols need to do to change the vibe of the team to shake something up? Because obviously it's not working right now. I mean, looking at their schedule, they still got to go to South Carolina.
Yeah.
That's going to be a tough game.
They got LSU too.
Yeah,
They're
next
not easy.
next Sunday. So it's not going to be easy for Lady Vols. They've got 6 games left, I think, in the SEC tournament.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they're still kind of in fighting contention for some of those
Right.
top 2 seeds in the, probably not the top seed, but that maybe number 2 or 3 in the SEC. But
Yeah.
what do they need to do to? I guess that's a hard question to ask. If we knew, it'd be easy. But any idea what they
need to do? Yeah, I mean everything. What they need to look at, everything's still in front of them. They can still. They're going to easily get a top 4 seed in my opinion. Get a double bye in the SEC tournament. They're going to be a high seed in the NCAA tournament. They can still host, be a 2, 3, 4, whatever it might be. So everything is still in front of them. They don't need to, get down and out. Yes, Kean Green's out, but they need to realize she's not coming back. That just needs to be in the back of their mind. Yes, we got to see somebody step up. Whether it's, Jordan Horson's fine. She's scoring 26 points and doing what she can. Ray Burrell, Tamari Key, Jordan Walker. These girls have got to step up and just make up for the loss of Kean Green off the bench. Sarah Puckett's been doing fine, but she is also a freshman. Where the veterans, Jordan Walker has been playing for 4 years. She's a graduate. Tamari Key is her 3rd year. Elevation is there. She's a top shot blocker. Where are those blocks at again? Her paralysis down low. Ray Burrell, yes, I get that you're injured, but you still can make an impact whether it's on the floor, off the floor. Something just needs to change. We just need to see some more leadership just kind of step up and elevate the play of everybody else.
Yeah, and I think this team is very mental, which can be a good thing because when you're hot, you're feeling it, you're confident.
Yes.
But when you have something like one of your team's leaders go out, that really affects you.
Yes.
But I think to be a top team in the SEC and really the nation at this point, you can't let something like that just completely derail you. So I think you need to use these next 3 games. They've got Missouri, Vandy, and then Alabama, which those aren't insanely tough games to win.
Yeah.
I think you need to go in and figure out who you are without Kean Green.
Right. I think are they back home? I think they're back home.
Yeah, they're back home
for the
2
first
games.
2.
Yeah,
Yes.
and then they're in Alabama,
Yeah.
and then obviously you've got South Carolina, the best team in the nation.
Right.
So I think you use these 3 games to figure out who you are. You get Tamari Key the more touches because they were looking great when they were running the offense through her and Jordan Horston. Maybe Ray Burrell gets going. Jordan Walker needs to get back to how she can be offensively.
Right.
And even the role players, Sarah Puckett, she knocked down a couple of threes yesterday.
Yes.
She's got to get back to doing that. Brooklyn Miles just being a floor general and a defensive menace. These players have just got to get back to where they were when they looked like one of the best teams in the country against Georgia a few weeks ago.
And I think one thing, too, Coach Harper said yesterday, they don't have anything inside presence-wise. So they have to get Tamara. She needs to touch the ball at least every single possession because she is 6'6", kind of 6'7". She just draws so much attention down there that leaves everybody else so open because yesterday we saw too much ISO ball, and they're not going to be a team like UConn, just trying to beat them off the dribble, and then they would attack, and then they would miss a layup, get blocked. It's just not going to happen. Tamari Key needs touches inside, or somebody does, to be able to draw the defense. Honestly, I would put Jordan Horson down there, get her touches on the block. She can make it work. She can make it happen. Floor general, like you said, get somebody open. Ray, Jordan Walker, test Darby to spot out from three. So simple inside touches just make the world go round for basketball. So just get the ball inside, like Coach Harper said yesterday, and that could solve some of their problems, not all, but it can fix the offensive woes they have lately.
Yeah, and I think it should be of note. Tamari Key's played 30+ minutes multiple times this season, so she can stay in the game as long as she doesn't get in foul trouble.
Sure.
Yesterday she was in foul trouble, but if I'm Kelly Harper, I don't hesitate to leave Tamari Key on the floor as long as she can stay out of foul trouble, because you kind of need that because after her, like you said, I don't know who you look to for paint presence. So
I mean, they tried Emily Saunders yesterday. She really she just didn't do too much on the floor. Caroline Strickland played in garbage minutes. So I mean, it clearly after Tamari, I don't know if Coach Harper necessarily trusts right now in those two. So Tamari needs to do her best to stay on the floor as much as possible, because like I said, after her, there's not much going on. So and also Alexis Dye has not been doing too well lately either, and she's another inside presence. Sun Belt Player of the Year last year for Troy. These last couple of games, she really hasn't done too much. So I want to see her get more involved in the post and just more inside touches, like I said.
So what's been Kelly Harper's message, and how has she handled this? I've seen, and I think it's kind of ridiculous. A lot of people are up in arms over Kelly Harper and losing 3 games. Everyone's so nearsighted.
I hate those people.
They
Those
can
people on
always
Twitter make me so mad.
they can always see the
think they
losing
kill
streak.
Bill.
And we forgot where the program was like a week ago. But still, I mean, what has Kelly Harper's message been through this?
I mean, well, just kind of going off more of the coaches thing. People, like you said a while ago against Rick Barnes, fire Rick Barnes, look what they're doing now. So, I mean, these people that are just idiots on social media just jump to conclusions. Like, where were you all where was this energy when they were, had one loss in the season, best start since 07-08? So I hope they keep that same energy when Coach Harper and company do pick it up. Because honestly, yesterday they were already at disadvantage because UConn's players were mostly 5-stars. And Tennessee ran out there a grad transfer, and Jordan Walker was at Western Michigan 2 years ago. Tess Darby was a 3-star. Jordan Horson was a 5-star number 2 player in 2019. Alexis Dye was at Troy last year, hadn't played against UConn ever. And Tamari Key was a 5-star, the 47th prospect, I think, in 18 or 19. So the comparison of the roster is just UConn by far. And so that just, to me, points to Coach Harper getting more out of her players, the coaching that she has done all season to that point. So I think what she's just going to do is just go back to her roots, do what they've been doing all season. Like, girls, you have done so well. Just because one player is out doesn't mean you all just need to just jump off a cliff right now. You just need to regroup, come together, practice, just fix a couple of things, and they'll be fine. I trust in Coach Harper and her staff. She has one of the best staffs in the country. They'll get back to what they're doing.
Yeah, and I think some people sometimes forget Kelly Harper's been in this situation. She's been on. She's been on some of the greatest Lady Vols teams on all time.
She's won a national championship.
Yeah, obviously coached under the greatest women's basketball coach, one of the greatest basketball coaches of all time. She's been in a place where people are calling her team to question and saying, "Is this a team who we thought that they were?" So I think if there's any coach in the SEC right now that can handle something like this, it's her. So if I'm a Lady Vols fan, I'm not too scared right now.
I'm not either, just because everything's in front of them. They're fine. They're still number 2 in the SEC standings, right behind South Carolina, because they're the best team in the country. That's gonna be hard to overtop them. So being second right now, where you should be, they're fine. Everything's in front of them. They can still end the season on a very high note. So no one should be panicking right now.
Yeah, and I think every press conference that they've lost, she's mentioned. There's like something along the lines of there's still a lot of basketball to be played. So I think that's probably her message to the team right now. It's just saying, this season's not over.
No.
We've had a couple of losses, but we've got the rest of the season to clean it up and get ready for postseason. So
hold on, Tennessee fans, be patient. Give it a week. We've seen it with the men's team.
It's basketball.
Everything
just
can
give
change.
it time. It's a long season.
As you mentioned, that UConn loss wasn't an SEC, so it's not the end of the world. They've still got, just 2 SEC losses, right?
Yes.
So they're doing fine. Again, Missouri this week on Thursday, Vandy on Sunday, both here in Knoxville. So we'll have coverage of that at utdailybeacon.com. I think that's going to do for today. The only other real Tennessee news was the Alvin Kamara stuff last night at the Pro Bowl, but not much is out on that. So don't want to get too far into that right
One
now.
final thing, we got to pick the Super Bowl, right? I mean,
Oh,
it's Super Bowl
that's
week.
right.
We got to
Okay.
pick it. We might as well,
feel like
right?
That's fair.
That has-
Let's give some context to the Alvin thing. If you haven't heard,
Yeah.
he played in the Pro Bowl, which is just a joke of a football game.
It's
I'm
a
not
glorified
sure,
scrimmage.
I'm not sure who watches the Pro Bowl, but
I
apparently
actually
a
did for some
fan,
reason.
someone watched the Pro Bowl and must have gotten an Alvin set. I saw something that a fan was like playing with his hair or something like that.
Interesting.
Not sure if that's true.
Yeah.
I'm just doing my due diligence. I'm not sure if that's true, so don't just go.
Kamara was arrested for battery in Las Vegas, by the way.
But pretty much, I was getting to that. He pretty much just beat someone up and was
Yeah.
arrested for battery with substantial bodily harm, which is a felony in Las Vegas. Obviously, not a very good thing for the former Vol. I believe I saw that he posted bail and he's not currently in custody anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, regardless, there will be more info coming out about that soon. I'm guessing from somewhere.
Yeah.
Still a developing story, but yeah, interesting stuff
We'll
coming
see.
out of Las Vegas.
Yeah, definitely.
I've just on this note. I read your Vols in the NFL recap.
Yeah.
Alvin Kamara was our offensive or whatever
Offensive
player of the year.
Yeah.
Is it if and not that he would win it in the real
In
NFL?
NFL,
Is
yeah.
it still like ethical to give somebody an award?
Well,
like
I did that
I know,
before he got
that's what I'm
arrested.
saying, that's what I'm saying.
It really depends on the context, in my
Yeah.
opinion, because
Yeah.
there's a lot. I was telling Josh this earlier, and I'm not jumping to defend the guy because
Yeah.
obviously, police wouldn't arrest him if he didn't do something
Sure,
that was probably
yeah.
warranted.
Warranted.
But when it comes down to it, we don't know the whole story
We
right
don't,
now.
yeah.
I mean, someone could have been, saying racial slurs towards them.
Right,
We
exactly.
just have no
We
idea
have no
what's
idea,
happening. He
yeah.
also could have just hunted him out in cold blood. We have no idea. But
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know Alvin, but from what
Yeah.
I've heard, the dude is a totally just not bothered kind of
Yeah.
guy. So it kind of came out of left field.
Something
Yeah,
something
I was
had to
shocked.
get him
Yeah,
turned a little
I don't
bit.
know.
Yeah.
I'm not going to claim to know Alvin Kamara, but
Right.
I mean that's kind of where the story ends.
Yeah.
We just don't know right now.
Yeah.
So we got a little sidetracked. Let's go back to the Super Bowl.
It's not sidetracked.
It's still on the same thing. Yeah. I'm not gonna get this started.
Yeah,
All right.
go ahead.
So Rams Bengals. I think it's gonna be a great game. I just think it's the Rams to lose at this point. They're in SoFi. They traded for Matthew Stafford. They got all these superstars. I get Joe Burrow's on the other side, but to me, it's the Rams. It just kind of seems to me it's a Cinderella story. It just seems like it's written that way to be the Rams Super Bowl. So I got them winning.
I've subscribed to the Joe Burrow main character theory.
Okay.
Ever since he got punked by that guy at Central Florida,
Yeah.
he's just been like an animal.
Sure.
And I don't think he can do any wrong. I think he's going to win 10 Super Bowls in his career, and I'm just kidding. But I do think he's going to win this one.
Okay.
I can't count out the Bengals right now. I got to give a shout out to almost Vol T. Higgins.
Yep.
From Oak Ridge.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one.
But Knoxville guy, Oak Ridge guy, going out there in the Super Bowl. It's cool to see for all the people around Knoxville, around Oak Ridge. See him ball out, be the legitimate number 2 wide receiver on that team. So I'm going for the Bengals, but I also think the Bengals are they're on a streak right now, and,
Yeah,
and
they are
ultimately
hot.
that's what it comes down to is bet the high hand.
Yeah, I would say I'm probably the least informed NFL guy out of everyone. But I watched all the playoffs, and I'm gonna make a hard decision more than a head decision and
Sure.
say Bengals win. So
Yeah, I do like the Rams a lot. I like Matt Stafford, and I've always got respect for a team that's willing to pay to win. That doesn't care. That does not care about first
As a
round
fan
picks.
of the other,
We're gonna buy a great defense, trade for Von Miller and Jalen Ramsey and
Yeah.
everybody else. I respect that.
Yeah.
So Rams, I like you, but something about the Bengals, man. Joe Burrow.
Something about
I can't bet against them right now. I think they're gonna win another walk-off field goal like they've done
I'd venture
like
to
8 times this postseason. So.
I'd venture to say team of destiny almost.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean the
I'm
Bengals.
on an island.
they're-
I love it.
So next
We'll
week
come back
we'll be
next
on
Monday.
this
You're
right.
like, hey, what's up, y'all? I'm just kidding.
I'll tell you this. I mean, I'll just do this real fast and then we'll end here. But this is the first Super Bowl in a while. I'd be a-okay with both teams winning. I love
I would
Matt
be
Stafford.
too. I do too.
I love Matt
honestly.
Stafford.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Burrow.
I
right
won't
now.
be
I like-
upset if my pick is wrong, honestly. Because I could go either way, but I just think it's the Rams to lose. But like you said, I don't care if Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and Higgins win. I really don't.
Isn't it fun not seeing the Chiefs, Niners, Chiefs, Bucks, Tom Brady every
Yeah.
year? Because come on, that's got to get boring after a while.
This is nice. It's
Yeah.
refreshing
Tom
as NFL
Terrific-
people.
Tom
yeah.
Terrific's out. You got the Bengals who haven't been relevant in
Since the
30
90s.
years.
Yeah.
Since 1991.
91,
so,
yeah.
So I don't know, man. It's gonna be a lot of
It's gonna
fun.
be a
You
good
got
one.
2 new teams for the most part, and
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
Definitely.
Well, we will not have Super Bowl coverage at utdailybeacon.com. We are strictly Tennessee.
Yeah.
But anyways, that was kind of dumb. But
We have to. It's Super Bowl
That was a
week. It's
bad
a
joke.
national. It's
That
a
was a
national
bad joke.
holiday.
We'll have someone at the Super Bowl providing live coverage.
We'll get a live stream from them.
Yeah.
anyways, that's gonna do for today. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.